Welcome everyone, I'm the Hero, and today we're gonna go back a little before we move forward. As today, we're gonna start going back to my older videos and remaking them because I am original. Now that the unnecessarily long intro I am obligated to do as someone who makes videos on YouTube is done, what's the game we're gonna talk about? Well, it's none other than the 2D run and gun that's my personal favorite game of all time, and is also the first game I've reviewed, Contra. The game was developed and published by Konami from 1987 to 1990 for the arcades, Famicom, NES, PlayChoice 10, MSX2, ZX Spectrum, Amstrad CPC, Commodore 64, Windows, and DOS. Today, we're gonna look at the NES and Famicom versions, released in 1988. The game follows Bill Riser and Lance Bean in the year 2633. The evil Red Falcon organization has set up shop near New Zealand, plotting to conquer the world. This is when the aforementioned Bill Riser and Lance Bean are sent to the island to halt Red Falcon's plan and uncover the true nature of the alien entity behind them. Now, the best part about all of this is that unless I'm mistaken and the instruction manual contains this information, which I wouldn't know because I never had one, this story is only included in the Japanese release of the game called Greiser. We'll come back to that. In my opinion, it's not an exaggeration to call this game a classic, and as is with classics, sometimes it's hard to notice just how good they are because what they did has become the norm. As for why do I and a good handful of other people all over the globe find this game fun, it's simple. I mean, even that in itself could potentially be an answer, but to actually be descriptive, the reason I personally find it good enough to proclaim it as my favorite game of all time is that it is challenging but doesn't hinder the player. And speaking of it being challenging, it is challenging, but it's not too challenging, or at least, it's most certainly not the running on Dark Souls. There are some physics here and there and sometimes a bit BS enemy placements you have to get used to, but they're not the end of the world, and once you figure everything out and have a good run, it most certainly is rewarding. As for the comment about Greiser, technically speaking, this game has 3 names. It's known as Contra in most places, but in Japan, the game was named Greiser, and in Germany, or at least to my knowledge, that's pretty much the only place where it was named at, the game was named Probotector, which had some reworks done to make it all about robots. Differences between Greiser and Contra include things like Greiser having a map between stages, cutscenes, and another thing we'll have to come back to in a second. As for why this is, it's because Konami utilized a custom-made multi-memory controller called the VRC2 in the Famicom version. The game's graphics are about on par with other games of its time, and honestly, I prefer it to the arcade's graphics. To now move back to the topic of differences between Contra and Greiser, another noticeable difference is in some extra details they could add in the Famicom cartridge. The game's music still holds up, and I don't think there's any sound effects I'd find annoying, so yeah. So in conclusion, while the game can be annoyingly hard depending on your taste and while it has aged, Contra is Contra and it always will be Contra. Or at least until they release another game that is 3D, or a bloody pachinko machine. The game is still awesome even after all these years, if you don't mind the potential for trial and error based gameplay, and so I think it's fair if I give this game an 8 out of 10. I hope you enjoyed this video, and with that, goodbye.